Welcome in to the RSN Wrap-Up Show here on the Region Sports Network in the Center Bank studio here at a near 10:40 start time here. It's been a long day of football, a long, great day of football, and we're here wrapping up all the scores. I'm your host, Zach Miller, and with me, my guest, analyst, Mike DeWan. You've been here all night, man.
Hey, you and me both, man. What's a Friday night without a lot of football, a lot of great football, a lot of big games in Week 9 that have, of course, conference implications. We had a couple games on the Region Sports Network. We just wrapped up RSN Zone, and after we kind of go through all those games going on, of course, the finals all throughout the night, we got to talk about Week 10. Sectionals right around the corner, Zach. Just like that, it's playoff football time. Win or go home for these teams now from here on out. Going to be an exciting one here tonight.
Exciting one here tonight for this wrap-up show. I mean, it's just a wrap-up for all the excitement that was here tonight. I mean, we had two games on tonight. We had Lowell at Andrean, and we had Valparaiso traveling to Lake Central. We had the RSN Zone covering that, as well as we had the Maryville-Chesterton game, which was another incredible game, along with other games in the area that were just all over the place awesome.
For sure.
Let's start off with our first game. We had the number 9 Boone Grove Wolves taking on the Bishop Knoll Warriors, and the Wolves, they took care of business, and they won 48-6.
Yeah, it's, again, the Wolves again, the number 9th rated team, and offensively a high-powered team. Again, Mark Rowland, their quarterback. This is a team we hinted at on RSN Zone. They score a lot of points, and these are one of the teams that are pushing the envelope of what can be done offensive schematically. And, again, they'll have another great showing here tonight. We'll talk about their sectional play going forward. But, hey, a fun team. I believe they're in the Class 2A. Yes, they are. And they're going to have, again, a great game coming up here next week.
Great game next week. Next up, we had the Knox Redskins. They hosted the Bowman Academy Eagles, and they won dominantly, 61-6.
Russ Radke, Knox Redskins, of course, a big win coming off of last week's tough loss. Again, I know they a potent rushing attack over there. Again, a team we got to be familiar with. Of course, we know Russ Radke, but they're also in that 3A sectional with a couple more familiar teams here in the region. We're going to highlight that a little later.
Yep, we will highlight that a little bit later. Next up, we had our number 1 ranked Crown Point Bulldogs. They traveled to Amesfield to take on the Michigan City Wolves. And once again, they took care of business, won 35-8.
27 consecutive regular season victories in a row for the Crown Point Bulldogs. Now I believe that marks 3 straight regular seasons undefeated. I think the last team they lost to was Michigan City. I believe that was 2021, Coach Buzz's first year. But since then, this team has been an absolute wagon. Michigan City kind of hung in there. Only a 14-0 halftime score, which is something not a lot of teams could say. Michigan City, I still really like their roster. Of course, a Big 12 pass rusher, Adrian Holly. A lot of firepower on that offensive side that'll be back for years to come. But Crown Point, they are the standard right now. Arguably the favorite in their respective sectional, and then maybe, just maybe, one of the favorites in the class of 6A.
One of the favorites. They started the game off with a fumble. Noah Ehrlich fumbled in their first possession, and after that, they just took care of business, handled it the rest of the way through.
Right. A rare error from Crown Point, it seems like. But even when that happens, they barely turn the ball over. They barely trail. They play a perfect brand of football. And, hey, again, they get a punch in the mouth early. They respond. Again, their defense is great. Offense, of course, is always solid. And, again, just chalk this one up. Another win. Their third also, again, I mentioned 27 consecutive regular season victories. Also, their third consecutive Duneland outright title. Not easy to do in that conference. Kudos to Coach Buzz and the Crown Point Bulldogs.
Conference that competitive as the DAC to win 3 straight. Not much more can be said than what already has been said.
I'd like to, again, I wish I knew a little bit more about the conference's history, at least as of late, but I'd like to see who was the last team. You can comment down below, but who was the last team maybe to repeat 3 times as champs? I'd like to say maybe some good Valpo or Maryville Pirate teams is where my first guess would go, but Crown Point, again, 3 in a row, hoping to make it 4, I bet, also going into next year, but they got some business to take care of first coming in 2 weeks.
Yep, moving into the Conference of 3 with the GLAC, we had the East Chicago Central Cardinals. They took on the number 8 ranked Morton Governors, and Morton dominated, won 56-0, and won the GLAC Conference Championship. Again,
playing great football. It's a little bit of a lesser schedule for Morton. Again, they started out 0-4 this year, but a pretty tough non-conference schedule. Again, 2 Duneland opponents. Also played Byron Center from Michigan, who's a very solid team up there, and then as well as Tippecanoe Valley, a great team down south. Morton, good to see them they're starting to play very well now, a 4-4 record going into the 5A sectional. It's a tough sectional solely because of Maryville, but hey, records are outside of the window. They're a talented team as they come. A lot of great guys on both sides of the football. Who says it can't be done in that sectional?
One of the best teams coming in with momentum right now of any team in the region.
It's what you need. Momentum is key. As cliche as it is key at this point in time of the season. That's a big word going into the playoffs. Again, win or go home. We'll see how they go from here on out.
Cliches are typically repeated because they're usually true.
Correct.
Moving on to the third team in the GLAC Conference, they hosted the number 6, or the Hammond Central Wolves from the GLAC. They hosted the number 6 Hanover Central Wildcats, and the Wildcats, they ran wild, run 48-26.
Yeah, it was a closer game in the first quarter a little bit. Hammond Central, again, they're a gritty team. They could run the football very well. Davian Terry is their main running back there, who's, I want to say, top 5 in the area in rushing, but Hanover Central, a great bounce-back win against a talented Hammond Central roster, going to Hammond Central as well, because that's a sour taste in Hanover Central's mouth after last week's loss to Andrean.
Yep. Talking about bouncing back from a sour loss, next up we had in the NCC the Hobart Brickies. They took on the Highland Trojans, and they won big, 49-6.
Hobart clinches a share of the NCC title along with Hanover Central, and we'll talk about another team that clinched a share of that title as well. A party of 3 at the top of the NCC. Hobart, good to see them bounce back. Highland, a program that is rebuilding, but Hobart, obviously, that was a tough pill to swallow last week, although it was a non-conference match. Nonetheless, you never want to drop any game of the season, especially this late in the campaign.
Yep, and a real bounce back just as a season as a whole for Hobart, from how they started the season to how they finished. Total difference.
It's hard to believe, again, after those first 2 games, to say that they are co-conference champs. It's a lot of respect to go to Eric Schreiber Jr. and what he's done over there at Hobart in his first year. Because, again, first season, we've said this a lot, but it is not easy for a head coach, even with an in-house hire like Eric Schreiber Jr. He's done some great things in his first season. Co-conference champs, again, a tough thing that could have been said after those first 2 tough losses to Duneland opponents.
Yep, looking forward to them playing in the playoffs. Another NCC matchup, we had the Kankakee Valley Cougars taking on the Munster Mustangs, and unfortunately for Mike, the KV took over and won 29-13.
Unfortunately for me, but fortunately for the KV Cougars, who are also playing pretty good as of late. Again, I keep saying that, but this is important right now. KV in that relatively open 4A sectional we'll talk about in a little bit. Now 2 straight wins. Again, it's been kind of a roller coaster for this year's rendition of the Kankakee Valley squad. Started out 2-0, then I believe they went on about a 4-game skid. I think it was a 5-game skid. Then I think they won their last 2 to close out the season. Not a bad way to round it out, and now we're looking forward to the sectional.
Good time to win 2 games in a row.
For sure.
Moving on to the DAC, we had the LaPorte Slicers take on the Portage Indians. And Portage won 35-14.
Portage is an athletic team. They could show fight. We saw it last week against Valparaiso. Got out to them early. Couldn't finish the game this time. Again, they struck in the second quarter and never looked back. LaPorte, it's been tough sledding as of late. Again, still trying to find that first W in the win column. Again, Austin Epple, second year over there. Still just a lot to build. So the first year is not easy. Second year could sometimes not be that easy as well. A team that's looking to build up their culture. And Portage, a team that was winless last year. Now, again, a solid performance last week, even though with the loss to Valparaiso, now getting the dub here. Who knows? Again, 6A school, that big sectional coming up there with some top dogs. They're a team that will give you all for 4 quarters. Again, with Roy Richards on your sideline, anything's possible.
You have Coach Richards on your sideline, you can never count them out.
Nope.
Moving on, we have an interesting matchup. We had the LaVille Lancers traveling to Whiting, and they took care of business in a big way, winning 56-20 over Whiting. Yeah,
LaVille's going to be a team to look out for. Again, just playing spoiler to any potential teams here in the region. Whiting, a first-year head coach over there, John Jolly. Again, it's been a little bit tough sledding for them as of late. But, hey, again, growing pains in year 1, they are usually expected.
Yep, growing pains, and, looking into year 2, I expect some positive growth from that.
For sure.
We've seen a lot from the time we've been around Whiting this year. We were there earlier, a couple weeks ago for the Tech Tailgate show.
Right.
A lot of good signs from Whiting.
Yeah, good kid. Again, an alumni-based group of coaches, which is very, very important in my opinion, having guys that know what it takes, but also they have seen it all with that program. And then the numbers were pretty solid. They have some athletes, and I know they've kind of dealt with some injuries this year, and that's sometimes, again, that's the way the game of football works. Hoping to be back. Of course, they still got a sectional to play, and they're hoping to play some spoiler in that, but they're getting ready, again, for, I think the future is very bright for this Whiting program.
Yep, moving on, we had one of our games that we had on the Region Sports Network tonight. We had the Lowell Red Devils traveling to Andrean to take on the 59ers. And Andrean, they won. They got a share of the NCC title, winning 27-14.
Yeah, and you mentioned the share, the party of 3 at the top of the NCC. From what I understand, Andrean used just about all 3 phases. Their defense has been playing pretty solid. We saw that last week, shutting out a Hanover Central team for the first time in 6 seasons. An offense that is still now trying to establish a run game. We saw a little bit of that last week, and Lowell did a pretty good job, but Andrean still put some points up on the board. And from what I understand, special teams made an impact as well. A kickoff return touchdown for the 59ers. Again, a team that was on the outside looking in for the NCC now get to say they are co-conference champs.
I know, yeah, they were looking into the season. They had those 3 teams at the top, and they're one of them. I want to say the Corral Lantern Man superhero of the game for that game was quarterback Brady Ellis. He had 3 touchdowns on the night. He had 2 through the air and 1 on the ground. Very strong performance. And like you said, kickoff return to start the half. That really took the momentum. That was the Region Sports play of the game as well. Just took the momentum for him.
Yeah, and Brady Elsh, again, only a junior, so, he's doing some great things. And, again, it's a very strong Andrean group that, again, not only are going to be solid for the rest of this season, but potentially going forward. And, again, Lowell, still a team that plays better in these later weeks of the season. A wide-open 4A sectional. Again, they got a big matchup coming up against another NCC team next week. They could cause some damage as well. That 4A sectional is truly a fun one. It all kicks off next week.
Yep, we also had coming up another big game we had on the Region Sports Network tonight. We had the number 10 Chesterton Trojans hosting the number 2 Maryville Pirates, and it was a very competitive game all the way throughout. And Maryville ended up taking the win at the end, winning 29-23.
Yeah, shout out Josh Reagan of Reagan's Corner Sports Network for putting that on for all of us tonight. But again, a top 10 matchup on our polls, and Chesterton, they hung in there. A little bit of a shocker. I know this Chesterton team is very gritty, but kind of the X factor I thought going into this is, again, that run-heavy offense of Chesterton against that Maryville defensive front. If you're one-dimensional, you're going to have to turn to something else, and Chesterton did that tonight. They found a little bit of success passing the football a little bit more than just giving the ball to Andrew Govea. But nonetheless, Maryville, we saw, again, they still played well defensively. Offense is playing better as of late, still getting a win, maybe not in the fashion they want, but they don't really care. They'll take the win, finish second in the Duneland Conference, 8-1 record with their 1 loss to Crown Point. Not a bad resume for the Pirates.
Not a bad resume at all. And for Chesterton, I'm excited to see them going into the playoffs, seeing, like you said, how they opened up that running game into including the passing game a little bit more. That makes their ceiling that much higher.
And if you get 1 week off, too, those 5 and 6A sectionals, get next week off. Hey, who knows? You get a little bit more health. You could maybe evolve on that passing game that we found some success tonight. And again, if that 4A sectional I mentioned was open, that 5A sectional over there with Valparaiso, Chesterton, LaPorte, and Michigan City, I think that is definitely up for the taking.
Definitely wide open. Moving on, we have the River Forest Ingots. They took on the Lake Station Eagles in a heated rivalry, and the Ingots, they won 55-16.
They could put some points up on the board. River Forest, a fun offensive group. Aiden Silver is kind of the straw that stirs the drink for the Ingots, but a lot of young guys also on that defensive side as well. I believe going into this week, Michael Turner is the leading tackler in the area. I want to say he could be a junior or sophomore. His year is escaping me right now. I know he's not a senior. They got a lot of great guys on that defense as well. Another region team that I like going forward. Looking at some of their opponents they matched up with, they might have fallen to them earlier in the season, but they could see them again. And it's really tough to beat a team twice, especially in a sectional setting.
Yep, very tough to do that. Moving on, we had the other game that we had on the Region Sports Network tonight. We had the number 7 Valparaiso Vikings. They headed to St. John to take on the Lake Central Indians. And it was a very close game. Lake Central, they got out ahead of them. They started the game off 7-0. And then Valparaiso, they hung in there. Their kicker had 2 field goals to keep them with 7-6. And then Thomas Berta and that Vikings offense, they took control.
They started to really, again, utilize whatever they could offensively. It was 6-14 in favor of the Tribe at the end of 3 quarters, and Valparaiso started playing that complimentary football we're accustomed to. Lake Central pinned Valparaiso deep with the punt, a beautiful punt put it on the 3-yard line. Thomas Berta, I think it was about a 97-yard rushing touchdown.
97,
one play, who's counting nonetheless, that would eventually be the game-winning touchdown for Valparaiso. I think they got an interception on the ensuing possession for Lake Central, iced that game away with their running game that we're very accustomed to. Kellen Hosick, once again, a lot of poise at the quarterback position. Thomas Berta went down last week with an injury. Good to see him back, obviously, and do what he typically does on a Friday night.
Yep, he was our Crowd Company's Lantern superhero of the game. Unofficially, he had over 150 rushing yards, and of course he had that huge touchdown, that 98, 97-yard touchdown. Like we said, when you get that, they had that great punt, Lake Central, you're pinned all the way inside your 5. Are we really counting? He is. He's fighting for the 98 yards.
Hey,
regardless, they got 7 on the board from it.
We'll take it. That's an electrifying play, to say the least. We'll probably see that next week on our Electrifying Plays Reel by IBEW Local 697. But outside of plugging that for Lake Central as well, Valparaiso, a good win for them there. Lake Central, it seems like another close loss. Again, it's a tough pill to swallow. It's one of those games where you wish you have back. And again, for those seniors or whatever, anybody on that team, it's if a play went different this way, if I, again, maybe contained on that 97, 98-yard run, things would have been a bit different tonight. But LC got to put that in the rearview mirror and get ready for 6A.
Yep. Tough game, Valparaiso winning 21-14. Next up, we had a game that was highly contested with our producer, Justin Cole. The Westside Cougars taking on the Calumet Warriors in a rivalry. And the Calumet Warriors, they won in a very close game, 38-36, as our unbiased producer celebrates. They won 38-36, Mike.
A battle of Colfax, goes to the Warriors. High-scoring affair. We saw a lot of high-scoring affairs last week. This is one of the definitely more high-scoring games we saw this week. Calumet, a talented roster. West Side, and kind of in hills and valleys so far. Still a pretty good roster as well. Calumet doing some good things in this year, the Charles Salary era for the Warriors.
Yep, big win for them. Then a game that we didn't broadcast on the Region Sports Network but kept a very, very keen eye on was the number 5 Wheeler Bearcats taking on the number 3 Griffith Panthers. And from the start, I mean, Wheeler just got on top of Griffith at the Boneyard, and they won 35-13, Mike.
It was, again, going into this game, I kind of said on RSN zone, but it was, I think Wheeler had the upper hand. I liked how they were tested earlier in the season. I liked, again, their 2 non-conference opponents, Hanover Central and Kankakee Valley, they hung in with, and then some kind of common opponents that they matched up with Griffith. I think Wheeler played better, so you don't always want to judge a game based off of that, but it was tough to pick a winner. But then seeing Wheeler see what they did, I mean, it was a full total team effort for the Bearcats to go into the Boneyard in a game with so much implications in their respective division. Again, Wheeler, the winner of this game, walks away with the division crown. Tonight, it is the Wheeler Bearcats. Defense especially. We talk about their offense a lot, but defense as well. And a lot of those feature the same players on both sides of the ball. It's truly fun to watch the Bearcats. And Griffith, I know they're going to respond tough coming forward, but Wheeler in that Class 2A, they are a real threat in that sectional.
Real threat. As we talked about earlier on the Tech Tailgate show, we said it was kind of the matchup of Wheeler with the strength of schedule versus Griffith with the just overall production and the gaudy numbers. And in this matchup, it looked like strength of schedule won out.
And again, it's just one game. All the games before, they do not matter. And see Wheeler go in there and take care of business. Nick Testa, reigning GSSC Coach of the Year, putting a case to potentially repeat as that, of course, as they repeat as division champions. Truly special to see what Wheeler's doing over there, a program that has always been, from what I saw, kind of in the mix a little bit, but kind of middle tier in their respective conference. Now they're leading the pack.
Yep, now they've hit their stride right in the past couple of years. A couple of games to finish up in this part of some somewhat out-of-area games that are still very relevant to teams in Northwest Indiana. The New Prairie Cougars took on the South Bend Washington Panthers, and they won big, 52-8. And the North Judson Blue Jays, they took on the Pioneer Panthers, and they won huge as well, 60-18, just a couple more dominant victories for these two.
Yeah, I mean, that's, again, by stock now in North Judson, the 1A team to definitely be fearful for, too many F's there, and for, again, New Prairie, a team to watch out for in the 4A. Again, take care of business once again. South Bend Washington's played a couple local teams up here, New Prairie as well. Hitting their stride as well. A tough loss against Penn last week, but New Prairie, a big win going into that 4A sectional.
Yep.
Speaking of sectionals, we got plenty to talk about.
We're going to start with the Class 1A Sectional 41. See, we get on screen. There we go. Our incredible producer, Justin Cole, right on it. We start with, on the top, going from the top to bottom, we have the North Judson. They are hosting South Newton. How do we want to do this, Mike? Do we want to go through individual or list them all?
Let's just list them all and then kind of see what matchups maybe we're looking forward to. Again, 1A, a few local teams, but again, we mentioned North Judson, and I can kind of let you take it from here on out.
Right, I mean, North Judson, as we've said ad nauseum, they have just dominated this year. They're taking on South Newton. That's a matchup that you'd expect North Judson to get another big win probably. South Central, Union Mills, their school that's kind of in the area, was in the PCC, taking on Culver Community. Bowman, that's another region school, taking on North Newton. I believe they played earlier. I thought they played.
They might have, yes, I believe so.
I thought I remember maybe last week, I believe North Newton had a big win in that one, and then West Central taking on LaVille.
LaVille, I think they moved down from 2A last year. I remember them. I believe they beat Andrean last year. We're looking at this sectional. I mentioned the play of North Judson, who was 9-0, I believe, in their regular season. They, again, I said this on RSN Zone, but John Harrell is somebody who I think everybody in the sports media world follows for whether it's football, whether it's basketball, and he does a great job. He also puts up percentages of where teams are estimated to go, and North Judson's just jumps out of the paper for Class 1A. And again, there's a lot of maybe teams that we are a little bit unfamiliar with. Of course, 1A, the smallest class size. We have, again, Bowman's around here. South Central, of course, a PCC school as well as a former GSSC school since they moved out to start this season. But, hey, I mean, anything could happen, but North Judson, they are an absolute wagon right now from what I know.
They are the one to look out for in the 1A sectional. If we can, Justin, if we can move on to the 2A sectional 33. There we go. Perfect.
Moving. I think we got Bremen, Lake Station, Edison, Whiting, and Drain. That's going to be, again, two local teams, of course. We know a little bit more about Wheeler and Boone Grove. That's going to be a game we definitely look out for, and I believe we got a game on the bottom as well. Let me pull that up, but I believe that's the final. Excuse me, that's the cutoff right there. So yeah, looking at this sectional, Zach. I mean, Rensselaer Central, also a great team that has a bye. That's nice to have, but we kind of saw that from Wheeler last year too. They were kind of peaking at the right time. Wheeler had a bye up there, and they kind of lost that first game. I think they lost to Bremen last year. Yep. So I don't know. It's a blessing and a curse to have a bye, I think.
Yeah, I know you.
The only team to have a bye, I should say.
I know when you're the only team to have a bye, it's like, yeah, you feel like you earned it and you get that rest. But there's a chance that you are just rusty going into that game. And while the other team that comes in, say, for Rensselaer Central, they're going to play the winner of Bremen and Lake Station, I mean, whoever's the winner of that, they're going to be battle-tested and ready to go for that matchup against Rensselaer Central. So if they don't take practice that week seriously, they can get boat racing. They don't even see it coming because it's not just a week of rest. Like, we're not really gonna prepare. Not that they do that, but you got to be on your P's and Q's because they're going to be coming in. The team, whoever wins, they're going to be ready.
No doubt about it. Rensselaer Central, they're going to be rooting for Lake Station, Edison, because if that's the case with the rule, Rensselaer Central, since they're at the top of the bracket, they would actually flip to the bottom, I believe, and they would be the home team in that one. Whiting and Andrean, of course, two local teams. Andrean might be seen as one of the top favorites in the 2A sectional. Wheeler, Boone Grove, though, that's going to be a fireworks game. Two teams that met not too long ago. Wheeler got the dub there, but two, again, fun offensive teams to watch for, and two teams that, again, have grown to be rivals to each other.
Two of the better teams in the GSSA, two teams that are in that Valpo area, and like you said, two explosive offenses the past couple of years, especially this year. That is going to be fireworks, that matchup. And
both teams that won their respective divisions of the GSSC. Now that regular season has concluded, Wheeler has won the South, while Boone Grove has won the North. Now we got to move on to the 3A, featuring a couple other GSSC teams. Zach, take it away. John Glenn up top, moving on down.
John Glenn taking on Jimtown. That's a match. We haven't looked at those two particular. I've seen John Glenn. They've done pretty nice this year. I feel they've been a pretty good team this year. Then we have the Calumet Warriors taking on Mishawaka Marion. Bit of a travel for Calumet. They have to go to Mishawaka and take them on. That should be a good matchup. Calumet's played. Obviously, they just won this week. Big win against a pretty good West Side team. It was a competitive game. Then of course we have the Knox Redskins taking on River Forest. Two Northwest Indiana teams. Knox, of course, led by Russ Radke, been dominant this year. And then Bishop Knoll having to go to Griffith. I mean, that's two GSSA opponents. Right. Griffith has been, as we said, other than tonight, I mean, just like untouched.
Right.
So big matchups, local teams.
Yeah, a couple marquee matchups. I like Knox River Forest. Of course, the Russ Radke led Knox Redskins. That's always going to hit home for those in Northwest Indiana. You can't really tell the story up here about high school football without mentioning his name. River Forest, again, it's nice to be at home if you're River Forest, of course, taking on a Knox team that has to travel some way. Of course, get on the bus a little bit earlier, and it kind of breaks up their school day. And don't want to look too far ahead, but let's say, what if Knox and Griffith maybe take care of business? They would meet at Knox in round 2. I'll talk about that story. Russ Radke playing Griffith, a team that, of course, he really kind of brought up.
I mean, I would have to imagine would probably break some attendance records at Knox.
Or viewership records over here. Right.
Attendance, really any metric you want to pick, I'm sure it'd break it, because I think all of Griffith and all of Knox and all those surrounding communities for Coach Radke and especially are going to come out. And Griffith, I mean, it's like they've been reinvigorated for the first time really since, and it's been such a huge season. I don't want tonight's loss to like define what they've done beforehand, because I mean they were just dominant is almost too light to put.
Sure, and they got a great coach on their sidelines too in Phil Mason. So I mean that lives up to the billing as well.
Yep.
Moving on, a 4A sectional that I really enjoy.
Oh, boy.
A lot of region teams. I mean, the farthest team out there is New Prairie, who ended up winning the sectional. I want to say they're back-to-back champs in this respective sectional. Zach, take it away from the top.
Yeah, but starting at the top, we have the Hanover Central Wildcats are going to take on at the East Chicago Central Cardinals. Then we have the Highland Trojans. They take on the KV Cougars. That's a big NCC rematch. We have the West Side, of course, as you said, they're taking on New Prairie. They've won the past 2 years. And then the Brickies, they're taking on Lowell, another NCC matchup. Like you said, a couple of rematches here and a couple of close matchups that we're going to have to see again, see what type of adjustments they can make in the second go-around.
Yeah, I mean, Highland KV, I want to say they played last week, so you got to kind of I don't know if you switch. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you're Kankakee Valley, but that's definitely something to take into account. I mean, Hanover Central at the top of the bracket. Of course, they got to start away, but they go to an East Chicago team that's still trying to really find their footing. Then they're going to potentially return home against Kankakee Valley squad, a team they met before, a game that was relatively closer, but then you look more at the bottom of the bracket, and that's kind of where it gets fun. New Prairie, West Side, New Prairie, again, one of the favorites, I'd say, of the sectional. Hobart Law as well, an absolute, a grinder of a game. Again, two teams that played each other very, very recently. A game that Hobart kind of controlled through 4 quarters, but Lowell's just starting to play a little bit better, starting to find their footing as the season goes on. And again, looking forward, who knows, we could see a playoff game at the Brickyard potentially against New Prairie, a rematch of last year's sectional opener. Hobart's looking to do some damage, and Hanover Central, a big story there. They're moving up to 4A in their first season.
Yep, big story there. That's what the tale of this sectional to me is, the rematches and what changes are going to be made from each team to how, like you said, a couple of these teams, they played only a couple weeks ago.
Right.
You know, what changes are they going to make, and which coaching staff, which players are going to implement those changes better.
And again, all those games are next week. Now from here on out with the 5 and 6A sectionals, they will be off next week, again due to the size of these sectionals, but they'll kick it right back up 2 Fridays from now. First off, one of 2 5A sectionals. We'll start with Sectional 9, Zach.
Yep, starting off with Sectional 9, we have Morton taking on Munster. This is a sectional of 4 teams. We have Morton taking on Munster, and then Hammond Central taking on Maryville. Those are 2 games that are going to be big. You got the 2 Hammond schools, sure. Munster and Maryville. Only 4 teams in this sectional, but then that means you're even closer to the championship.
Yeah, and I do looking at the bracket, I do like Morton's draw. Again, a talented team that's playing good ball as of now. Morton at the top of the bracket. So, again, as the rule goes, Morton will not be on the road for the entirety of the playoffs. That is not how it exactly will be. If Morton gets the job done against Munster, and if Maryville were to beat Hammond Central, Morton would be playing at home against Maryville for the championship. And again, playing at the Mansion is a lot better than playing at the Purple Palace, especially being on that other sideline. That's a tough place to play, especially if you're not dressed in purple. Who knows? Again, an open sectional, of course, you still got to get through your respective games, Munster and Hammond Central, respectfully, between those 2 schools. But I think it's collision course right now between Morton and potentially Maryville.
Yep, you don't want to look ahead, but that would be a huge matchup. I mean, 2 teams that, especially Morton, they've hit their stride at the perfect time winning these past few games. Big, of course, that big upset against Hobart, and then their big win tonight. I mean, if they can take the momentum and they have a home game against Maryville, and they get they get all the talented players. Might be one of the most talented matchups you can get in the region. I mean, between these two teams, I mean, regardless of rankings, I mean, this is just going to be a crazy matchup. If it were to happen, have to play the games,
correct,
the first games first, so we have to stress that we don't want to overlook Munster and Hammond Central. But if this matchup were to happen, fireworks.
And again, I do like Morton's draw. Got to go to Munster first, while Maryville will be at home against Hammond Central. Moving on to the second of two 5A sectionals, another sectional that, again, can be very, very fun. 4 Duneland teams that are all very familiar with each other, some playing very, very recently. Michigan City will travel to Chesterton. LaPorte will travel to Valparaiso. I mean, I do like Valparaiso's draw starting off at home. But again, looking back at previous matchups, Michigan City did travel to Chesterton earlier this season, beat them 20-0. Again, we don't want to use that philosophy for matching up these teams. A lot could change throughout the course of the season. I mean, one of those things that did change, though, for Chesterton, new starting quarterback Brady McCormick went down. I mean, a wide-open sectional, I still think. I think Valparaiso has not hit their stride quite yet. They're winning some football games, maybe not in a dominant fashion that we've seen of Valparaiso in years past, but I still think this is a sectional that is definitely for the taking.
And looking at Chesterton, I mean, like you said, they lost 20-0 earlier in the year, but they are a much different football team now than they were then when they played. Even if they lost their starting quarterback, Brady McCormick, if they weren't already leaning on Andrew Govea earlier in the season, they have totally put their offense around him lately. And even going against that Adrian Holly-led Michigan City Wolves defense, that is going to be a matchup. I want to see how they match up now. I mean, looking at the Chesterton that just played tonight, which fought so close against Maryville, number 2 ranked Maryville. I mean, how do you think they would do against Michigan City? You know?
I guess we could only wait and see. Again, that was a long time ago. Chesterton could not get much going from what I remember against that Michigan City side. But again, that was quite a few weeks ago. A lot has changed, to say the least. And moving on to the big dogs here in Northwest Indiana, and then a little bit outside of Northwest Indiana is Class 6A Sectional 1. Zach, take it away. 4 teams. 3 we're familiar with, and 1, of course, that is always looming now, a new face back in the 6A Sectional.
Yep, 4 teams, all 6A, the big boys. Portage going to take on Crown Point, number 1 ranked Crown Point. And then Lake Central fought valiantly tonight against the Valparaiso Vikings, going to take on Penn. The always, like you said, the looming team that always seems to stay in the 6A section, where it's like we have the 3 region teams, and then it's always Penn.
It's always Penn. They always find a way to, potentially rain on our party here in Northwest Indiana. An admirable program over there from the Penn Kingsmen, now coming over to 6A Sectional 1, of course, and a regional opponent for Crown Point last year. Looking at that draw, again, you got Portage visiting Crown Point, a matchup that wasn't, a few weeks ago. Crown Point took care of business, as they have seen to do. Lake Central now has to travel to a very good Penn team, and again, don't want to look too far ahead. But again, the way the bracket plays out, let's say Crown Point, Penn get their jobs done. Crown Point will now go back to Penn. Since Crown Point is the bottom team, they have hosted a game, and now Penn, since they're also at home, they just move along. Penn would play host to Crown Point, a potential regional rematch from, I don't know how much you remember that game last year. That was an absolute master class there. And Penn, a roster, from what I understand, going through a lot of change, a new head coach over there as well, lost 10 of 11 starters on defense, but they're always, again, the Penn Kingsmen.
Exactly. If there's any team you want to pick on legacy to say that they know how to win these big games in the playoffs, it's Penn. But against that as well, I mean, if it were to be Crown Point, I mean, I don't know how you could pick against them in any way possible with how they've looked against the strength of competition they've had, even if it were to be at Penn. Not that we're picking teams here, but I mean, it's that clash of the legacy of Penn,
sure,
having to go there if that were to happen.
Right.
And then the dominance and the growing legacy of Crown Point. It's not like they're new to this. This is their first year on the block. Point. We talked earlier. This is their 3rd straight Duneland Conference championship. I mean, we don't even know how many times that's ever been done. 27 straight wins.
Yeah.
That would be a matchup that we'd be clamoring for. But even with that, I mean, looking at Lake Central and Penn, just looking at that matchup, I mean, we saw how close Penn played with Valparaiso this year in their win. I mean, just looking from tonight, how close Lake Central, they were winning all the way through the 3rd quarter against Valparaiso.
Right.
I mean, I can't wait to see that matchup before we were to potentially get Crown Point and Penn.
And I say kind of one of the scariest things you could face as a team is a team that really has nothing to lose, I'd say. In Lake Central, they want that close win. It seems like it's been so elusive in the first year of the Pete Koulianos era. There's been so many games that, again, if a possession goes a different way, their record is looking worlds of different. And, again, who knows? I wouldn't count out either Lake Central or Portage, two teams that are, again, at least for Portage, a little bit better of a season, while, again, Pete Koulianos' first season in the program, alma mater, though, for him, he's going to have his guys ready to go, and that's going to be the bottom line for sure.
What better time to finally get that signature win that you've been trying to get all season than against the Penn Kingsmen in the section?
And, hey, then you get a chance to host a potential sectional championship game if they get the job done there. But, again, that'll be in 2 weeks, as well as all those 5A sectionals. I think that's about all we got for sectional play. Just like that, again, 1 week from today, we're hitting to it, man. The road to Lucas Oil will begin.
The road to Lucas
officially, I guess.
Exactly, officially starting the playoffs. We've said it how many times this year? Going to repeat it again right now. Can't believe we're already in the playoff. We're going to be starting the playoffs starting this week. I mean, look at just doing a short reflection. I mean, it's just been such an incredible season, regular season, looking at these teams, man. I mean, looking at like our number one team, Crown Point, in this section, I mean, it's been a lot of dominance for a couple teams and then some surprises.
Yeah, I mean, plenty of storylines all throughout Northwest Indiana. It's what makes the sports industry so great. We kind of get to see how these teams develop throughout the course of the year. For some teams, it is stagnant dominance, and for other teams, it could be hills and valleys. For some teams, it could be, hey, right now we're moving upwards, and hey, once we get to next week, that's when, okay, now we can put this all together. And if there's not a time, of course, for us at least, and maybe you guys, the viewers, to stop and smell the roses too, because it has flown by, and obviously right now it flies by even quicker. These teams, again, it gets cut in half as we kind of move round by round. So as you see, one more time, we'll kind of show the sectionals as we kind of go. Like, here's Class 1A, sectional 41. Kind of moving on. Class 2A.
Sectional 33.
A fun one.
Class 3A, sectional 25. 4A, sectional 17. 5A, sectional 9. 5A, sectional 10. And 6A, sectional 1. Oh, boy. A lot of good football coming up, Mike. A lot of good football. I mean, wrapping this up, the wrap-up show. Is there anything you'd like to add before we get out of here?
I guess we got a few things to plug, of course, wrapping up this, like you said, but we do have another story coming out tomorrow, the Beating the Brickies series, still keeping that up, again, paying homage, of course, to the Bricky teams of the 80s, the early 90s, late 70s, of their absolute reign of terror, but also paying tribute to the teams that, again, could tell the story and, hey, be able to stand toe-to-toe with the Hobart Brickies and walk away victorious. Tomorrow is about a Maryville Pirate team that could not really get over the Hobart Bricky hump. We know it's a pretty big rivalry between those two schools that they took a little bit of a break, but it kind of still happens today. I think that rivalry, the last chapter of that rivalry, at least at today's age, I think it's the last season of that for quite some time, but it was a rivalry that, again, both sides were familiar with, and Hobart got themselves a little bit of a conference Duneland streak. I mentioned, again, 3 straight Duneland titles for Crown Point. Hobart won 55 consecutive games in the Duneland Conference until they met the Maryville Pirates. I believe it was 1986. I wrote the story. It was super fun to do this. It's going to be called Plundered. Again, the Pirates beating the Brickies, snapping their 55-game Duneland conference winning streak. And get this, again, I think 5A was the biggest class at the time. Mm-hmm. There was one 4A team in that conference, and it was the Hobart Brickies, just playing up every single week. They didn't lose for nearly 10 years in the Duneland Conference. So it's truly unreal to kind of walk through this journey. Again, we released that Munster story last week, a story that hits home for me because, again, I was able to walk down the journey of a huge game that people still remember, whether it is the players on the field. I've even had people come up to me after the Munster story. He goes, I was at that game, awesome article, super cool to kind of relive that through these people. And again, it was a different game back then. It's kind of why we're doing this story. And again, it's been myself, Brian Waddle, and Chris Ramirez as well. It's kind of awesome to see see the history of this because, again, we're two young guys. We've only heard stories, but then once you could talk with players, talk with coaches about it, it really hits home.
Once you talk with the first-hand experience, you go, whoa. We've never seen anything like this before. 55 straight games, 10 years. I mean,
and all playing up too. Playing up. Only 4A school.
Exactly. Only 4A school playing with all the
getting choked up about
Getting choked up about it over here. I'm getting emotional. No, we're playing up with these 5A schools, and I mean, actually, I'm not getting emotional. It is a very great story. I'm just getting choked up. It's been an incredibly long day, great day of football.
Sure.
But it's been a great day. I'm going to hand it over to you, Mike, for just a second.
Okay. Get you a cough here. But, yeah, no, I mean, like you were saying, we got plenty of people to thank out as well. Of course, go look at that Beating the Brickies story tomorrow. Again, plundered about the Maryville Pirate team. But to mention our crews, too, as well, we got to start off with the Andrean. You can take it away there.
Yep, I was going to say our Region Sports wordsmith over here with the plunder. I love that.
I wish that was mine. If there's a wordsmith, I got to give it to Chris. He's coming up with all the titles.
Oh.
I mean, it's I know. I wish I was with titles. I don't know. I leave it up to him, and he's the guy for that.
I can't get away without calling him the wordsmith. So Chris, our executive producer,
there you go.
Chris Ramirez. I like that one too. The executive producer, Chris Ramirez. Our operations manager, Rich Castillo. Our sports director, Mike Dewan. Our co-coordinating producers, myself, Zach Miller, and our producer here for the RSN Zone, the incredible Justin Cole. Going through our broadcast tonight, we had the Andrean Lowell game. We had Clint Klaus was producing. We had Michael Bradner was doing play-by-play. Nick Russ on color commentary. And we had Thalen Steiner. He was coming in initially as a just filling in the studio, doing a bit of everything, being just a jack of all trades. And then all of a sudden, we were having camera issues, as you saw during the broadcast. And it's, Thalen, can you make it to Maryville? Can you make the Andrean? It wasn't a yes. It was, what do I need?
Sure.
I mean, he headed right there. I mean, saved the day, essentially, for the end of that broadcast. That was awesome. I mean, going to our Valparaiso Lake Central broadcast, we had Leo Staudiker on play-by-play, Jay Simmons on color, we had Scott Stessel doing camera, and we had Zach Zanelli doing production. Once again, we want to talk about the RSN Zone here. I mean, Justin Cole, he's been doing everything.
Pull it up. There we go.
Look at this. I mean, this is what he's seeing on his end for the production. He has to see me like 4 times, which that is an issue. I mean, it hurts for me to see myself 4 times, let alone have to share that to everybody else. I mean, look at this. This is what he's going through. He's been doing this for almost 8 hours today. I mean, he's got to get up early and do his own work again tomorrow. To call him the GOAT would be an understatement. He's the best. Whatever superlative you want to put on him, it's not accurate enough.
No,
he's the best. I mean,
no
same
doubt.
to you, man. Everybody.
No doubt, yeah.
The Region Sports Network, they don't do it better than us, man.
Sure.
It's because the people we have here, the leadership we have, all the camaraderie we have with all the people that contribute here. It's seriously awesome, man. It makes it worthwhile, not just for us, but it makes consuming football these Friday nights. Now that we're getting to the end of the season, going into playoffs, man, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's been a fun 9 weeks, but we're not done yet. We still got some time to go. Again, it's been fun being that outlet for you guys as always on the Region Sports Network, but we are not done yet. You could celebrate a little bit more tonight from week 9, but after tonight, it's playoff time, baby. We're happy to be that outlet for you guys once again, and stick with us along the way to Lucas Oil.
Yep, thank you all for watching. Thank you to the viewers. We gave thanks to everybody. Thank you. You are the people, the viewers, that make all of this possible. I mean, you guys give us everything, and we love sharing with the community, man. The Region Sports Network, sharing with the region and having everyone contribute. It's incredible. Thank you all for watching. This has been the RSN Wrap-Up Show. Wrapping it up right now with my guy Mike Dewan. Justin Cole, air fist bump. This is he was giving me the cold shoulder. This has been the RSN Wrap-Up Show. I'm Zach Miller. This is Mike Dewan. From everybody at the Region Sports Network, thank you all. This has been the production of the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
When life keeps you busy and you can't get to the store, shop online with Strachan Van Til To Go. Our to-go service is easy to use. Register using your rewards account information, fill your virtual cart, and choose delivery or pickup. Once your order is in, our own Strachan Van Til team preps your order with care. With our to-go service, you can earn reward points and save time and money with our online coupons and weekly ad prices. Life made simple, shopping made easy. For more information or to sign up, visit shop.strachanvantil.com.
Hi, I'm Crowd Company's Lantern Man. For years, I've helped your family and friends save on their car insurance. And now I've returned to rescue you from high prices. Whether you have a perfect driving record or a not-so-perfect record. Follow me to the Crowd Agency for immediate and affordable coverage. I'm your insurance superhero. Crowd Companies, insurance professionals. Highland, Merrillville, and Michigan City.
Thinking about what to do after high school? Consider a career with Boilermakers Local 374. As a Boilermaker apprentice, you'll earn while you learn. We offer excellent wages and benefits, and as part of our no-cost hands-on apprenticeship program, you'll learn from the best in state-of-the-art training centers and on the job. Become a union Boilermaker and get on your way to a great career. Find out more, visit www.local374.org or call 219-845-1000.
Old Man Winter is just around the corner, and that means temperatures will soon begin to drop. And a region winter is not the time to be left out in the cold. The professionals at Economy Electric Heating and Cooling can tune up that old furnace or install a new unit that can last for years. Your family deserves to stay comfortable this winter, and with 24/7 emergency service, comfort is just a phone call away. Economy Electric Heating and Cooling, 219-923-4441. Or for more info, the website is forajobdoneright.com.
Tech Checking Plus from Tech Credit Union offers everything you'd expect from a checking account. Plus, you'll earn one of their best dividend rates for maintaining a higher account balance. Currently, 4.85% annual percentage yield. No need to choose between easy access to funds or earning a better dividend. Tech Checking Plus gives you both. Visit techcu.org, contact any branch, or call 800-276-8324 to learn more. Tech Credit Union is federally insured by the NCUA. Rates may change without notice.
Quintel Incorporated is a family-owned and operated company located in Northwest Indiana that specializes in the reconditioning, repair, and remanufacturing of heat exchangers. Since 1994, Quintel has been handling jobs of all sizes throughout the country. Equipped with the most modern technology and advanced tools, Quintel provides top-notch service. When you trust Quintel for all your needs, you'll get peace of mind and a finished job that exceeds your expectations. For more info about Quintel and the services they provide, visit quintel-inc.com.
If you work with industrial, pneumatics, or hydraulics, and you're in need of maintenance or repair, you need the right connection. For over 20 years, Hose Connections in Hammond has been the premier leader in the hydraulics industry. Hose Connections is a one-stop shop for sales and service of pneumatics and hydraulics. Hose Connections continues to grow their network of industry contacts, which allows them to meet even your toughest expectations. To learn more, visit HoseConnectionsInc.com. Hose Connections in Hammond. Proven under pressure.
Have you checked out Centier Bank's student checking account? This no-fee checking account is perfect for students and teens ages 14 to 24 and comes with all the features you need to succeed, such as a debit card, digital banking, and automatic deposit. Centier Bank can help you start establishing good spending habits today for your better tomorrow. For more information, visit Centier.com/student-checking or visit your local branch. If you are under the age of 18, your parent or guardian must also sign on the Centier student checking account. At the age of 25, your account will automatically convert to the Centier checking account. You must deposit $25 to open this account. This account is not eligible for overdraft advantage. Member FDIC.
Four Seasons Mechanical proudly serves Northwest Indiana, providing quality, reasonably priced, reliable service. With a quality and comfort guarantee, the professionals at Four Seasons Mechanical offer a wide range of services in heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. Whether it's residential or commercial, Four Seasons Mechanical is there 24/7. To find out more, the website is fourseasonsmechanical.com or give them a call at 219-756-7020. Four Seasons Mechanical, your indoor air quality specialist.
Earn while you learn from the best hands in the business. The Bricklayers Allied Craftworkers for Indiana, Kentucky Apprenticeship. That's right, this is a paid apprenticeship.
I'm getting an education while learning a trade and getting paid for it.
The
thing that surprised me the most about this apprenticeship program is the respect I have received after the proper time and training.
Classes start soon, so apply now. There are training centers throughout Indiana and Kentucky. We are the Bricklayers and Allied Craft Workers for Indiana Kentucky Apprenticeship, the best hands in the business.
Flip the switch, a light turns on. Press the button, machines and instruments come to life. Touch the screen, communicate with the world. Simple tasks, guaranteed results, every second of every day. That's the power of power. And that's the power brought to you by the NECA contractors and electrical workers of Local 531.
We love home internet from T-Mobile. Oh, now Mesh boosts Wi-Fi all over your home. Taking a class in your attic, that dead spot is gone. Stream ballet in your man cave, learn to paint on your lawn.
It's glorious.
And now on the road, you can take T-Mobile Wi-Fi with you. Hey, stay connected and watch what you'll do.
Better Beef of Indiana. Hormone-free, locally raised, and locally processed beef. Better Beef of Indiana is located in Valpo at 2600 Beach Street, where you could buy individual cuts of beef completely raised in Hebron. From single pounds of ground beef to filet mignon, Better Beef of Indiana has it all. Visit their website at betterbeefindiana.com. Follow them on Facebook or call the owner, Kevin, directly at 219-508-5797. Better Beef of Indiana, where quality meets value.
Blythe's Team Sports in Valparaiso is a leader in athletics apparel and equipment sales. With in-house production including screen printing, trophies, embroidery, and more, Blythe's can help you to create the perfect look. For more information, visit them online at teamblythes.com. Blythe's Team Sports in Valparaiso, where the athletes shop.
Some see a student athlete working hard in the weight room. We see a future leader learning there are no shortcuts to success. Some see a start to a swim meet. We see the starting blocks for life. Proud to keep education in front of athletics since 1903.